On this video, I would like to do a brief study of Genesis chapter 1, verse 20, looking at the Hebrew text and looking at the grammar along with like a running commentary. So it reads, Vayomer Elohim Yishretzu Hamayim Sheretz Nefesh Chaya Va'of Ya'ofev Al Ha'aretz Al Penei Rakia HaShemayim. That is, and God said, let the waters swarm with swarms of living creatures and birds flying up above the earth and above or upon the face of the expanse of the heavens. The vocabulary here is the word saratz or sharatz, which means to teem or swarm. Sheretz is a noun meaning swarming creature. Uf is the verb to fly, and of is the noun meaning bird or birds. Looking at a brief grammatical analysis, Vayomer Elohim Yishretzu Hamayim Sheretz Nefesh Chaya. And God said, let the waters swarm or teem with swarms of living creatures. Notice Vayomer is a cow imperfect third masculine singular from the root amar with a vav consecutive or vav conversive. And God said, Yishretzu, let the waters swarm. Yishretzu is a cow imperfect jussive, third person plural, masculine plural from sharatz, meaning to swarm. It is basically a jussive of command. Let the waters swarm. Sheretz nefesh chaya, with swarms of living creatures. Notice again the cognate accusative sheretz and sharatz here, and nefesh chaya, reading living souls. Two nouns in construct, souls of living, and they're used in a collective way here. And then we go on, Va'of Ya'ofef al ha'aretz, and the winged bird, let it fly over the earth. Of is a singular, but is a collective noun meaning birds. Ya'ofef is from the root of or uf, that means of to fly. It's a polel imperfect, third masculine singular from that root. It is a middle weak verb in which the final consonant here will geminate or double. So it's a polel, ya'ofef. So let the winged birds fly al penei rakia hashemayim, upon the face of the expanse of the heavens. Notice here, al is the preposition upon, penei rakia would be upon the face of the expanse of the heavens. And so notice, by the way, the alliteration of ya'ofef, shut, then we have the verb shut, we have the verb sharatz and sheretz, a lot of similarity of sound that we have in this great text. Then we move on to verse 21. Vayivra Elohim et hataninim hagedolim, v'et kol nefesh hachaya harumeset asher sharatzu hamayim leminehim, v'et kol of kanaf leminehu vayar Elohim kitov. And God blessed the great sea monsters and every living soul that creeps, which the waters, every living soul that creeps, which the waters have swarmed to their kind, and every bird of wing, every winged bird, to its kind, and God saw that it was good. Looking at the grammar in just a minute here. Well, first of all, vocabulary. Taninim is a plural noun meaning sea monster. Gadol is an adjective meaning great. Ramas is a verb meaning to creep. Min is a noun meaning kind. And kanaf is a noun meaning wing. So looking at the grammar briefly, Vayivra Elohim et hataninim hagedolim. And God created the great sea monsters. Vayivra is a cow imperfect third masculine singular from bara, to create. Notice it's a lamed aleph verb where the a vowel lengthens instead of a pathak to a common. And then taninim means like sea monsters, and great hagedolim. So great sea monsters. Notice both are masculine plural, referring to the great sea monsters that God creates. And he has them swim in the ocean that he has created. It is interesting that in the Baal or Baal epic, Baal is constantly having to struggle with the sea monster, with Leviathan, but here God does not struggle. He just creates the sea monster. He does not have the perpetual struggle that Baal or Baal has as described in Ugaritic literature. So then we go on. Be'et kol nefesh hachaya harumeset asher sharatzu hamayim. And let every soul, every living soul which creeps, which the waters swarm. Ve'et kol nefesh hachaya, every living soul, harumeset. Harumeset here is a cow active participle, feminine singular. With the definite article, we have the double segment, indicative of a feminine participial form. And sharatsu is the cow perfect, third masculine singular from the root sharat. And then leminehim would be to their kind. So that, and every living soul which creeps, which the waters swarm, to their kind. The mean means kind, and hem is your pronominal suffix, third masculine plural. Va'et kol of kanaf, and every winged bird, or every winged creature, every bird of wing, literally, leminehu, to its kind. Again, the lamed as the preposition followed by min, and then hu is your pronominal suffix, third masculine singular. Vayar Elohim kito. And God saw that it was good. Notice Vayar, Yad is the cow imperfect third masculine singular from the root ra'ah, to see. A lamed final hay form in this verb. Excuse me. It always happens when I try to put out a video. But notice we would read this, and God created the great sea monsters, and every living soul which creeps, which the waters swarmed, to their kind, and every winged creature to its kind. And God saw that it was good. Again, like I had alluded to before, the Lord, unlike Baal or Baal, does not struggle with the great sea monster. It's not just one monster, but many that God creates. And he just lets them swim about, puts them in the waters, and that becomes their permanent abode. Then we come to verse 22. Vayavadako tam Elohim lemor, peru, urevu, umil'u et hamayim, bayamim, bahaof yirev ba'aretz. that is, and God blessed them, saying, Be fruitful and multiply and fill the waters in the waters, and the birds, let them multiply upon the earth. Notice here, Barak means to bless, vocabulary-wise. Lemor is an infinitive meaning saying, an infinitive construct with the, and then from Amar with the lamed here, prefix. Para is a verb meaning to be fruitful. Rabah is a verb meaning to multiply. And malah is a verb meaning to fill. And notice then, as we look at the text, Vayavarak otam Elohim lemor, and God blessed them, saying. Notice Vayavarak is from the root barak. It is a PL imperfect, third masculine singular from that root. In the PL, notice the Shava is followed by an A vowel, except here it's a kamatz rather than a patha because of the resh. The resh cannot be doubled. So we have a kamatz rather than a patha to account for that compensatory lengthening, we would call it. We further go on, Vayavarak otam Elohim lemor, and God blessed them, saying, Peru uravu. Peru is from para. Again, it's a cow imperative, masculine plural from rabbah, to multiply, to be from para, to be fruitful, and uravu is from rabbah, to multiply. So be fruitful and multiply, umil'u et hamayim bayamim, and fill the waters in the waters. Mil'u is from malah. It means to fill. It's another cow imperative, second plural masculine. Notice the alliteration and the literary assonance throughout here. Notice all the way through. Mil'u et hamayim bayabim, paru uravu, and so forth. Here we have mileh is another cow imperative, second masculine plural. Notice again the alliteration as we have seen in the u all the way through here. Peru, ravu, milu. And furthermore, when we have the labial mem, it prefers a shurik before it. Instead of ve milu, it's u milu. And hamayim bayamim, yamim is your masculine plural. So notice ha'of, ba'ha'of, yirib ba'aretz. And let the winged creatures multiply on the earth. Notice ha'of is a collective singular, meaning winged creatures. Let them multiply. Yirib is from rabbah, a lamed hay verb. It's the cow imperfect jussive, where the final hay has elided or dropped out. And so, as we look at this translation, I would render it, and God blessed them, saying, Be fruitful and multiply and fill the waters and the seas, or in the seas, and let the winged creatures multiply in the earth. The lesser here is blessed by the greater. The Lord is the source of fertility over all of creation, and He alone is the source of life. And I'm reminded in John 1 how that Jesus is the agent of creation as the second person of the Holy Trinity, in which it reads, in Him is life eternal. And we're seeing John alluding back, I believe, to this text. Then we end, Vayehi erev vayehi boker yom hamishi. And there was evening, and there was morning, day 5. Hamishi is a numeral meaning 5, and Vayehi Erev, Vayehi Boker, and notice Vayehi again is from the root Haya. It's a Lamed Hay verb where the Hay has elided, the final Hay, and we have the shortened form in the cow imperfect here. So there, and then he says, and there was evening, and there was morning, day 5. So I think what the text is clearly saying here, one should not worship birds, as in Egypt, or reptiles, but the eternal Creator and Lord. And also, the text is certainly showing how the Lord Elohim is greater than Baal or Baal. So I think I'll stop there because I'll pick it up at verse 25 and move on to the next day. So let me just stop there at this point, and then we'll continue on. And I would just encourage anyone to have an open Hebrew Bible as we go through this. Thank you very much.